Bernie neighbors. We are here just the night before Halloween. So hopefully everyone's got fun, exciting plans. I know I'll be taking Rome trick-or-treating. If you haven't seen what he's going to be, I will just hint that I'll be matching. I'll be in the Super Mario world with him in my costume. So he's a shy guy, which if you don't know, it's like the red hooded with the white mask. They're bad guys. And I am going to be Yoshi.
Wow. I don't know enough about that, but that sounds awesome.
Yoshi's a dinosaur, if that helps.
So is that whole story about Mario true?
What story?
Like it's like the way that the game originally started, like everyone thought he came on and said, "It's me, Mario," but it was like a word in Japanese that means
idea.
super.
Like he's not supposed to be Italian?
It's me, or like, yeah, it's basically a Japanese word that means super. And it's Super Mario, but everyone thinks that he's saying it's a me, Mario.
It's me, a Mario.
Yeah, it's actually a Japanese
word.
On
it. They doubled down on the Italian theme, so it worked. I'm a big fan of the Super Mario world. I was always a Nintendo girl. I didn't really touch the other consoles, so it's fun to see that Rome wanted to play around in that Mario world. So yeah, I'll be Yoshi. He'll be a shy guy.
I'm so old that when I was gaming, I had the original Atari. The original Atari set up with the one button and the joystick. The original back in the day. That's what I had, and that's what I spent way too much time playing, and then got out of it.
So my brothers had the original Sega, not Genesis, but the original Sega. They saved up their money and bought it. So we had that game, and I did a lot of duck hunting with the gun. And that's about all I remember playing on that one. But we weren't big video game family, but I always loved myself a Mario game. I had a GameCube, I had a Wii, I have a Switch. I got it all.
Wow, you got it all. Yep. What's your favorite?
Like game
or just console? Playing platform.
I really like the Switch. The Wii's fun because that was the first to be like, games that you can like play standing up, moving. I thought that was kind of cool. And like the sports games are really fun on the Wii. But I enjoy the Switch. I enjoy Mario Kart and Mario Party and all those ones.
I remember playing the Wii, like Wii Tennis. And for a while there, like pretending like I was playing tennis, like giving a real tennis swing. And then, I was today years old when I realized all you had to do was that. Like a little flick of the wrist at the same exact
thing. It doesn't take as much.
You didn't really have to do anything.
Nick worked at a bank, and they would have like the boxing Wii competitions like at the office. It was pretty funny. Like he would like train for it. Like it was hardcore.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So if you're in the chat and you're dressing up, tell us what you're going to be for Halloween or what your kids are going to be. Love to hear it. Oh yeah, GameCube Smash Brothers, Bryant. Totally agree. Got down on that. Hey Wally, hey Claire. Definitely a fan of the Smash Brothers games. All good stuff.
What was your favorite costume? What was your favorite character that you dressed up as?
Like in all my costumes over the years?
All time. What was your favorite?
Oh man. So if you follow me on Facebook, I actually reposted the one of Nick and I when we were Wayne's World. That one was pretty good.
I did see that one. That was good.
That's a good one. But we've done a lot of fun costumes together. We always do a couple's costume. He's not dressing up this year. I guess it's moved over to me and Rome now. Nick's like, all right, I'm tapping out.
Yeah. I got into this really weird period for whatever reason in my late 20s where like I was like from the Victorian era. Every year, like one year I was bartending and I dressed as a king, which sounds cool. Except for the whole robes, like when you're bartending and ice and everything, like just, it was a complete disaster. But it was, I got way into that for some reason. Well, like way too into it. Like played the character all night.
You didn't let up. You're in it.
Did not let up. Wherever I was, you bow to me, subjects. Yeah, it was.
Nick's really good about keeping character. Like we were, Captain Jack Sparrow, or he was, and like every time we do a costume, he's committed. He does the whole thing with the whole bit.
Right? I kind of miss it. I gotta tell you, I kind of miss it. I haven't really gotten into Halloween in a long time, and I kind of miss just going all out. I mean, I remember Ghostfinger used to work with us. He and I, when we lived in Charleston, we never got around to doing it, but we were going to be the Jolly Green Giant and Sprout.
Oh my god, that's so good.
but we never.
He's a little bit
Hey, it was
tall, yeah.
yeah. So and I'm so short, so it would have been kind of funny walking around together. But like I just couldn't find. We could Jolly Green Giant wasn't so hard, but finding something to be Sprout in was pretty tough. So we scraped it.
Yeah, you know
Didn't
what?
happen.
I'm not a big fan of buying costumes, because they're always so chintzy, and it makes me mad
True.
to spend the money on them. So I try to put together like my Yoshi costume is literally a green hoodie with matching green sweats with a hat that I drew eyes on. So like it's very, but like I can reuse this outfit, and Rome's is so easy because it's literally just a red hoodie, and then I bought a mask for him. So I would prefer to buy like actual clothes that I could turn into a costume somehow.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, man. What was yeah, I guess that King era that I was doing that was probably my favorite. I mean, as a kid, I don't even know if I got that much into it as a kid. I mean, I knew I had costumes, but I
Really?
never like got really into it. Yeah. College,
I know I was Little
college was
Mermaid,
just
like, I was Ariel
surviving.
back when Little Mermaid dropped,
Mm.
it was like the
That
fit, right? So,
yeah.
of course, it had to be Ariel.
I was so
So, that
young,
was
we
a
were
good
still
one.
doing
All
stupid
right,
stuff like dressing as a ghost or what. Like it was not like we hadn't
like,
gotten those
basic
characters yet. Yeah.
Halloween basics.
Yeah, yeah,
Nothing wrong
definitely.
with those.
Very, very basic.
It's all good. All right. So we are not going to just talk about Halloween, although that is always fun. We are actually going to get into some top 10s, top fives. We're going to go through both of our top 10s. We're going to go through our top five women's, top five rookies, and top five doubles teams. Obviously, this is a very early prediction of what we think they're going to be. I don't know about you, Bernie, but I base mine really on a lot of last season.
Yeah,
I think it's hard. We have had a couple opens, but those are opens, are not pro events.
right.
So I didn't falter too much from last season, and the talent that I saw and the performances. So, for example, mine doesn't have any rookies in it. So, I need to see what they do before I can take away a spot from someone that deserved it from last season.
Yeah.
And all of our lists, there's not too much variance. So I'm excited to get
There's really
into that.
not.
And yeah,
And mine, the way I look at it, this is what I expect to be the end of the season. Because obviously
yeah,
you could go through right now. There's people that like a Ryan Trader, for example, who would definitely be there if we were making our top 10 list right this second. He and Alan
right,
Rawls, right?
right.
But that's not how I went about it. I was thinking, all right, this is
Right.
what I expect to see at the end of the season. So that's where I was coming from.
Correct. Absolutely. Same. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to start with our top singles players right after this. All right, Bernie, we are going to hit it off with your top 10 list. I'll bring it up here for you.
Okay.
And why
Yeah,
don't you take
yeah,
us through it?
Yeah, you and I were talking a little bit via email about these lists earlier in the day, so I don't think there's going to be a lot of differences between the two, but I have a few, and like I said before, these are kind of where I'm envisioning the season to end. So there might be some variations as we go through. Obviously, we've seen already with the opens that there's some players standing out that aren't on this list, but this is kind of how I see it playing out. I see Mark Richards, he's still that guy. He's still just so efficient. He doesn't make mistakes. I think the fact that Tony won MVP even gives him a little bit of motivation going into this season. And then them being doubles partners. I mean, I think there's a little interplay there between the two of them. So I actually have that doubles team as my number one and number two players right there with Tony Smith. I still think Tony Smith. I mean, I give Mark the edge because you don't get much of a floor with Mark Richards.
Right.
And you know what I mean? Like, you know what you're going to get his top game to be. Well, there's not much of a drop off for his bottom game. And I think that's kind of what separates him from most players. Tony, I think, whose top game is probably better than Mark's. When you get Tony playing his A-plus game, I think he's a better player. But I think you do have times from Tony that he gets, not a long way below that, but there is more of a variation between the top end and bottom end for Tony. And that's the only reason why I have him there, him at 2 and Mark at 1. Number 3, Jamie Graham. I thought, the way that Jamie Graham came on, and like you were saying, this is a lot to do with last season. I thought the way Jamie ended last season, you go halfway through the end of the 2022-2023 season, Jamie Graham's probably not a top 10 player, but by the end of it, winning the world championship, kind of getting through whatever he had to get through, I think he kind of reasserted his dominance, in the sport. So I've got him at number 3. Number 4, I've still got him there. Last season when we did all of this, I had Devin Harbaugh as my number 1 in my first real top 10 list. I've got him at number 4 this season. I still think the talent is just hard to deny. I mean, he's just such a good player, but yet on the national level, he really hasn't won that much. Now, I still believe whenever he crosses that line, whether it's in doubles or whether it's in singles, once he gets across that line, I think we're going to see a few of them in fairly rapid succession. But until then, I can't put him in my top 4, even though I still think talent for talent. I think he and Tony Smith are probably the 2 most talented players on the tour. But I've got him at number 4. Number 5, a player that is quickly entering into that conversation as most talented player. Fisher Hamilton. I don't know about you, Michelle, but I feel like Fisher's kind of coming into his own. I think last season he was kind of, getting an understanding of how good he was compared to everyone else. I think he's fully aware of how good he is now.
Yeah, well, Trey mentioned someone, I won't say who because it will air tomorrow on Around the ACL, where he mentioned a name and he said, I think they're going to have a true rookie season. And I think Fisher Hamilton, when he started out, you wondered, is he going to have a true rookie season? Meaning he's got to figure out this pro thing. But he quickly showed us that was absolutely not the case. I mean, he found his footing, he found his confidence, and it became a top of the list very quickly. So I think that you're right. I think that he's coming in really confident now into this next season.
Yeah, I just, if he had any, hiccups last season, it's when he was either he and Gavin got there together or he himself got to the broadcast court. I think it took him a little while to kind of get used to that scene, because it is quite a scene when you're actually playing on that.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you talked about Devin Harbaugh, he couldn't finish. Fisher Hamilton figured it out within a season, like half
Absolutely.
of a season.
Absolutely. And I think it's really impressive, and also we forget, this is a very young man. Is he 18? Yeah. Fisher? Yeah. I mean, that's just
still
crazy.
In high school, but he's 18. Yeah.
And then, speaking of another 18-year-old, Caleb Batson, my number 6 player. I think Caleb, once again, I don't know. I mean, obviously the talent level is through the roof. It's extreme. If you're looking at he and Fisher, and the reason that I've got Fisher number 5, Caleb number 6, I think Fisher might have a little bit more arm/bag talent, but not much. I mean, you're splitting hairs at this level, but it's Caleb, especially on the double side, just an absolute fiend on the boards. So I've got him at number 6. I've got some questions. I'm going to ask you this. I've got Justin Burton Jr. number 7, and we saw how great he was at the beginning of last season. and we saw how dominant he and Logan Chamberlain were at the beginning of last season. Now they've come out, played pretty well early in the open season, but I'm curious. I've got him at number 7, but I'm curious if he stays there. What do you think about JBJ?
You think he's moving up or down?
I think he might be moving down.
Okay, that's interesting.
Not a
Because
lot. Not a lot. Not a lot. But look, you get the top 20 now with the depth of talent.
I know
You
you
can
haul them.
really interchange a lot of those names, right? But I don't know. I think players have kind of figured him out a little bit. Not much. I mean, his talent's still massive, so he's always going to find himself deep in brackets. I don't know. Look, I'm saying this. He could end up being the best player.
I
Right?
can't remember if it was Trey or Anthony, and you'll have to listen on Around the ACL tomorrow. But one of them put him above Fisher. So a lot of faith in JBJ and what he's going to do. I honestly don't know, just because he started off so hot.
Exactly.
And then it's not that he ever played bad by any means. It was just it just seems like it puttered out a little bit quicker than I thought it would.
Right.
So I just don't know. And also there's some things that he said in his interview when I was doing his interview that just made me go, So things I'm just kind of filing away about whether or not that's going to impact him negatively in some of his belief systems.
I got you. Yeah. I mean, and so number 8, how about the most disrespected player in the pro division?
Maybe the most. You don't even have Alan Rawls on there. He's the most disrespected.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Both the Rawls brothers get no love. I mean, I still think Alex, from a talent perspective, is a top 5, top 6 talent. I think he's got some injury issues. Not really. I mean, he's had some surgery. You know, I don't think it's going to really hold him back much, but maybe enough to where it kind of alters where he finishes this season. I can't believe it, but Jeff McCarriger came up with a stat that I thought was really intriguing about Alex. Of all these players, he's the one that leaves the most bags on the board of all these players that I have on this list.
Interesting.
But his style, it doesn't necessarily matter because, you know, the goal is to score more points than your opponent. So whether you have, 2 bags laying on the board or not doesn't really matter. But I think sometimes that can get you into trouble. It didn't get him into trouble a lot last season. And I'm wondering if that kind of gets in his way a little bit. Now, I've still got him number 8. He's still a top 10 player. Hopefully he gets through some of the injury issues. I think they're fairly minor, so it shouldn't be that big of a problem. But there's always an adjustment. I don't care how minor the surgery is. There's always a little adjustment when you come out of it. Number 9 might be a reach, but then again, you're talking still a top 20 player, Gavin Cano. I think is going to take a pretty big step forward this season. Now, it's not like he was very far down the list. He was still a top 20 player last season, if I'm not mistaken, in singles. I think he he and Logan Chamberlain, I think, are our 2 movers that were outside the top 10 that definitely have a possibility of being inside the top 10. I went ahead and put Gavin in there at number 9. And then my number 10, I didn't have him in my first top 10 last season. Everyone thought I was insane. He ended up finishing 20th. I think he actually has a lot to prove. I think that's going to he's still going to fill it up. He's still going to throw on the season probably between a 10-3 and a 10-5, right? I mean, for the season, that's what he's going to average, not for one tournament. And I just think I think he's going to, once again, probably be the top PPR guy in the league. And because of that, he's probably going to get a little bit luckier this season. So I've got him in my top 10, the GOAT.
So you're the only one out of Trey and Anthony and I to have him on there. Mine, like you mentioned, you can't even tell I probably changed the slide. Mark Richards, Tony Smith, Jamie Graham, all the same as you. Fisher Hamilton at 4, Devin Harbaugh, I believe you had those flipped. I have Caleb Batson at 6. So did you. I have Justin Burton Jr. at 8. So did you. At 7, I put Alan Rawls. How dare you not put him on there?
I know.
Learn.
But he didn't finish top 10 last season, even though he was so great. Did he finish top 10? Did he finish at number 9? Did he finish 9th? Because I know Joe Neestat was 10.
I'll look it up on the commercial, or the chat can tell us, but I feel like he did.
Yeah.
So I have Alan Rawls at 7, JBJ at 8, same as you. I have Alex Rawls at 9. Did you have Alex Rawls at 9 as well? No, you had him at 7.
I had him at, I believe, 8 or maybe I did have him. 7, maybe. Let's see.
Alex Rawls, Alex Rawls at 8 and Justin Burton. Okay, so I have those. So I have Justin Burton Jr. 1 lower than yours, and Alex Rawls at 9. And then my sort of hot take, I guess, is Jake Gore. I think Jake Gore is good enough to make the top 10. I also think, that spot could go to a rookie. I'm not entirely sure, but I have a lot of faith in Jake. he proved himself last season. He deserves to be in the top 10. I think he's going to
Sure.
play just as well, if not better, this coming season. So I did put him in the top 10. So, it's interesting. You're going to hear on Around the ACL, Trey and Anthony are going to give their top 10s. There are some variances. We talk about the top 3 and how those can Mark Richards, Tony Smith, Jamie Graham, those can kind of all play around in the 1 to 3 spots. But Anthony actually had someone totally different. So that's really interesting to see. But yeah,
was it someone in this top 10 or was it someone from
yes,
outside?
it was someone in this top 10, but yes,
Yeah.
it
Had
was
him
in
up a good bit.
it was in the 6 to 10 range. And Anthony put that person at number 1. So you have to tune in to figure out who that is.
Interesting.
But yeah, look at that little tease. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll come back and do our top 5 women right after this. Welcome back, Bernie. I looked it up. Alan Rawls finished 9th.
Ninth. Yeah, I forgot that he still found a way. I mean, once again, I'm just like, but I've said this 100 times. If you had just silhouettes of the top 20 players, right? You couldn't see who it was, just a silhouette of them throwing a bag. You're not picking his throw. There's just all of it, even with the bag in the air, all of it. It just there's something about it. It just doesn't look as it just doesn't look as good as a lot of the other players. His bag doesn't look as good, but the guy finds a way. He finds a way. So I disrespect Alan. Alan, I'm sorry, man. It's on me. And by the way, shout out to the commission's mom who's in the chat. Claire Talley in the chat. I saw her in there. The commission's mom checking out ACL Live.
Mom. Like the song. That's awesome. Thank you for joining us if you're still here. We are going to get into our top 5 women next. This was very difficult to vary from one another. The only one you'll see that's different is number 5. Yep. Now, I don't know about you, Bernie, but I went into look at how these women qualified this season. So I put a lot of weight if you were able to qualify through pro singles or pro doubles. I thought that was a really important aspect of why you should be in the top 5.
For sure.
So that weighed a lot on my decision. I'll bring it up. It's going to have both of ours side by side here, as you see. No surprise for the top 4, I guess, being the same. Is it no surprise? I mean, top 3. So Cheyenne, Rosie, Sam. I think that how do you debate those top 3?
I mean, Sam, if you look at, I don't know. I mean, her numbers weren't as good as number 3 on this list, I don't think, last season. But she's still, to me, a top 3 talent in the women's game. Look, you and I will both agree right now. Elephant in the room, Cheyenne Bubenheim. She's number 1. It's not close until someone beats her at a national. Fair?
Right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
at least on a broadcast court. At least on a broadcast court. I mean,
yeah.
she's been beaten.
So
She's
if
been
someone
beaten on
else
the floor.
becomes Women
Yeah,
of the Year, you'll be like, "Wow." You know what I
right.
mean? That's gonna put some eyes on someone.
I all right. So you came in with Sarah, and I had a huge debate in my head over who number 5 would be because I
I did
probably
too. I
had
was gonna put
4 or 5 different people in my head.
Yeti. I was gonna put Yeti, and the reason I went with Sarah is because she qualified through pro doubles, and I think
Yeah,
that matters. It says a lot
yeah.
about Sarah.
Let me. I'm going to go ahead and mention some of the ladies I didn't have on the list that I think could be. I mean, Kimberly Glass played so well at the end of last season,
Yes.
especially in the Pro Invitational. In the World Championships, making the finals against Cheyenne. I mean, let's face, she was winning up until the TV timeout. There's still some debate. Did that kind of break her run a little bit there
It
with
did.
that
She
TV
said it
timeout?
did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so, what kind of end could that have been for Kimberly Glass? Yet I still held her out. Someone who I think actually, from a talent perspective, and I think is actually starting to truly believe in her game, Miranda Coy, because her
Mhm.
style of play is so different. When you look
Right.
at most of these ladies, I mean, yes, they have other shots, but this is mostly a slide group, right? This
Absolutely.
is
Yep.
this is hole for hole group. It's a slide game. Miranda can put you in uncomfortable positions. And if you go back to that doubles championship last year in the World Championships, even though they won in commanding fashion over Miranda and Lori, I thought Miranda, once she settled down, started to put Cheyenne in some interesting positions and started to
Yeah.
kind of get a couple points off of her because she was making her do stuff she didn't want to do. And I think on the women's side, she has that ability that a lot of the other ones don't. She still has, I think there's a little bit of belief that really has to get there for her to take that next step. But I couldn't quite put her in there until I see it. And then I thought Yeti played awesome last
She
season.
did.
And that's why
She
that's
did.
why I had her in my top 5.
I get it. I mean, like I said, Yeti was on my mind. I think that it's just, yeah, I just put a lot of weight on that pro doubles finish. I think that matters. Michael said, watch out for Desiree McCoy. That was someone that I mentioned a few weeks ago on Around the ACL. I think she's good enough to be top 5. It's just at this point, without seeing her play in the pro field, I can't take away a spot from Cheyenne, Rosie, Sam, Cameron, Belvin, and Sarah Cassidy or Yeti Irwan. I just can't. Like you said,
Yeah.
Kimberly Glass right there, Miranda Coy. And what about Bella Soprenet, right? Obviously, if
You know
she
what?
is playing all
Thank you.
season, she's on this list. I just don't know what
100%.
I'm getting. I don't know how she's going to
100%.
finish. I really hope that she is able to play the entire season and we get to have our Bella back because she
Hmm.
is absolutely incredible at her talent and deserves to be on the top 5, no doubt. But if we're talking about how we think the season's going to finish, I need to see that first before I could commit her and take away a spot from someone else.
No, I agree. I'm glad you said Bella. She was another one on my list. I was like, I just don't know. Are we going to get a whole season? Because I agree with you 100%. If we get a whole season out of Bella, she's on this list. Period.
Yeah.
Right. And gosh, the Desiree question, I don't know. And I said this about Morant, like, is the 100% belief internally there yet? You know what I mean? Like, I think she knows she's good enough to be a women's pro. Does she believe that she can beat Cheyenne Bubenheim? I mean,
Right.
and quite frankly, I think that question goes for every one of these girls or every one
Yeah.
of these
Yeah.
ladies. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, even Gina Ramirez crossed my mind too. I mean, she had
sure.
a really strong season once she moved over from PDC to pro. She definitely crossed my mind. Her she was another one that I thought about, and it's like, man, it's only 5 spots. Who do you give them to? And that's why I just went to the stats. Like, let's just look at how everybody finished last season and how they requalified as a pro.
A player that I wish would be on this list because I think her arm and bag talent is good enough. The self belief, once again, is an issue. She has too many loose rounds as a Kaylee Hunter. I still think there's enough game
Absolutely.
there, if you will. I just don't know if she believes in her game enough, especially in tight moments. I
Her
mean, I think, you know,
her bag is just so absolutely beautiful. And I'll never forget. So actually, the first open that I went to was in 2021. It was the Austin Open, and that's the one that she won the shootout. And I will never forget, she was so locked in. I could feel it. And I didn't hardly
mhm.
know anybody at this point, right? This is my first open ever. And I was like, I can just vibe that she is completely locked in the zone. and that's her potential. I think her issue is just she's doesn't know how to get to in the zone. I think that's the problem. If she's in it, she's unstoppable.
You know how sometimes they'll put blinders on horses because horses can get spooked by what's going on
Yeah.
around them? I think Kaylee Hunter, as a cornhole professional, could use kind of, kind of blinders in a sense, like just don't worry about the rest of it. You know what? Don't
That's
worry
the
that
skill
people are
though.
watching you and people saw you make that mistake. Like, don't worry about it. Just play. And I think if she could get that, psychologically, her game is good enough. It's just there's a looseness in some of the rounds because I think she gets so, if she makes one mistake, that one mistake turns into five
Yeah,
instead
I
of
mean
being like, hey,
that's the
one mistake.
skill. That's
Yeah,
the skill of
that
a
is a
cornhole
skill.
player. It's not
100%.
just how pretty your bag is because she has one of the prettiest bags out there, but one of the things you have to learn is what you can call it mental toughness. You can call it, you know, mindset shifting or positive thinking or whatever you want to call it. But
Yeah.
essentially, you have to build the skill just like any other skill where you can completely block out everything, go into tunnel vision, go into automation, and trust your arm and trust your game and let go of all of the emotions that come up for being human and playing a sport at a competitive level. And it's very
Do,
difficult.
do you think Rosie, because Rosie's beaten Cheyenne a few times on the floor,
Yeah.
but usually struggles when she gets on the broadcast court against her, and that's Cheyenne's thing. Cheyenne does have that belief. Cheyenne's thing is once it gets really, really tight, she knows she's still going to play well, right? And
Well,
I think
it's like,
that's what she has over everyone else.
have you ever heard the expression? I did sales for a long time, and one of the things they say is the more confident person wins. So, like, if you're more
100%.
confident that they need your product or service, you're gonna win. But if they're more confident that they don't or can't afford it or whatever, then they're gonna win. And that's really what I think it comes down to with Cheyenne. She is just the more confident salesperson in
She is.
any kind of women's battle.
Yeah, because she doesn't play perfect all the time. I mean, you've seen her play poorly, and she'll kind of laugh it off and kind of shrug her shoulders, and she'll get down on herself for a second. But once it gets really tight,
Yeah.
she has that inner belief. She knows she's still going to be able to make shots, and I think that's just the difference. But that difference is massive right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is massive. But that's what I think it comes down to. So I feel like when it comes to beating Cheyenne, you're going to have to outconfidence her, if that's the phrase.
Sure.
And that's going to be really difficult to do because hers is so high. So you have to come ready with the confidence to beat her.
Well,
And
I
it's
mean,
possible for any one of these females.
yeah, I mean, you when you ask Cheyenne about, why can't she take that step, in the pro singles, like why is she top 25? Why is she not top 15, maybe top 10? I think she still battles that versus some other players.
Absolutely.
I don't
Yeah.
think she has that same issue going against some of the other women, but she does have that issue with some of the other top players. And like, that's her battle. She's going through the same battle, oddly enough, is believing
On
that,
the,
I
on
am
the
good
other
enough.
side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but at the same time, now you're talking about players like Mark Richards, Tony Smith, Fisher Hamilton, who are absolutely more confident they can win.
Right.
So you're in the same battle on the other side. So yeah, absolutely, you're gonna have to be the more confident person against someone who's incredibly confident in their ability to beat you, and you got to be more. And that's really really difficult. But we'll see what happens. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna go through our top 5 rookies. So don't go anywhere. We are back and we are going to go into the rookies. I want to bring up our top 5 rookies side by side. Once
Mm,
again,
look at all
not a
that
lot.
difference.
I was actually surprised. I thought maybe there would be more variance here with the rookies. But we have the exact same top 5, just different orders. So we both have Sammy Soto number 1, which makes sense because when we had to give our rookie of the
Yeah.
year predictions, we all picked Sammy Soto. So felt like we had to stick with that. I put Caden Allen at number 2, Ryan Trader at number 3, and Jeremiah Ellis at number 4, in which you have a different order, but same names. And then
Mm,
I have Colby Shearer at number 5. I talked about this on Around the ACL last week. We did a buy or sell of who's going to take that 5th spot on the rookie ballot of
yes.
rookie of the year. And there was some debate. There's a lot of names that can go in that 5th spot. It seems like 1 through 4 are kind of a lock, but you never know. But
Hmm.
it feels like it's going to be Sammy Soto, Caden Allen, Ryan Trader, Jeremiah Ellis, and then who's going to be number 5? That was the question. Is it going to be Ryan Trader? Not Ryan Trader, Braden Wilson. Sorry, these kids. There's so many of them.
Yeah.
Is it going to be Braden Wilson? Is it going to be, some of these other incredible players? But after I watched Colby Shearer play at the rookie showcase and then at the open, met him, got to know his personality. I just think he has what it takes to go really
Sure.
far in this league. And I also just adore him as a human. I think he's awesome and extremely talented. And I think he has a lot of belief in himself, and that goes a long way. So I put him on that ballot, which essentially is what this is, right? And
Yeah.
but why don't you go through yours?
Same thing. I mean, Sammy Soto, I had as my rookie of the year going in. I mean, look, going through this list right now, the best player is Ryan Trader. As we
Sure.
as we stand right this second, it's Ryan. Jeremiah Ellis, I think, to me is he's had success in other areas and other leagues. He's a guy that's played in big matches. I think he has a chip on his shoulder because of some of the other stuff from some of the other leagues that you play in. Coming to the ACL, you come in with a chip. You want to show everybody, blah blah blah, whatever. But he's got that chip. He's got the game, right? So I think when you add on that chip to the game, you're looking at a player that's going to cause a lot of trouble this season. I saw Sammy Soto and Ryan Trader play in USA Junior Singles. It was a really intense match. I think Sammy at this point, because of the way the whole Texas crew works, I think he has more of an iron sharpens iron kind of thing going for him,
Yeah.
right? Because he plays, with the JBJs and the Logan Chamberlains and the Gavin Canos and so many of these other players just in the Texas area that he's able to keep his game sharp because of it. Ryan, there's nothing wrong with the Midwest. I mean, you get outside he, Alex Hicks, and a few others, there's not as much to sharpen on. Right, as far as that top level goes,
Yeah.
and so, but he's proven in these opens that he's ready. Caden Allen, I didn't know much about Caden Allen until I saw him at Spencer McKenzie's.
He won opens last season.
I know, but I wasn't there. I wasn't at those opens, so I didn't really
Okay.
get a chance to see him. I guess I should say I didn't know much about him. Just seeing him play with my own eyes. I just like the way that he plays. I like the way that nothing seems to really affect him.
Not at all.
You don't know if he threw one off the board or airmailed, a three bag airmail, right? Like you don't know the difference, and I like that because I admire that because I'm not like that. I'm the antithesis of that, and so I admire people that can kind of stay level headed like that. Colby Shearer, I agree with everything you said. There's something, I don't know if toughness is the right word. Is the right phrase,
he doesn't seem
mental.
He doesn't seem to take it serious while taking it serious.
It's a great way to put it. It's
he cares deeply, but he's so chill that I feel like it works, and he doesn't get too worked up. Now, I mean, I'm sure he's having all kinds of things happening inside of his body, but in terms of what outwardly is happening, he seems relaxed, laid back, chill, good.
Of the 5 guys on my list, he and Sammy Soto were the 2 I heard other pros talking about.
Okay.
Now, that might just be location with Colby, but I think that, I heard a lot of other pros talking about this kid's a player. This kid's for real. Wait till you see him. He's really good. And then, I mean, obviously with Sammy, all the Texas guys, they view him as a peer, not as someone they've got to mentor. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
well, talking about Caden Allen in the rookie showcase, he comes over. I was at the deck around table, and he does his thing. I can't remember if he missed 2 or 3 bags, but it was very minimal. And it's like he didn't even know. Like I was like, "Oh, that was your last round." He's like, "Oh, I'm done." I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "You did really well." He's like, "Oh, what did I get?" Like it's like he's just so even in the rookie showcase, he's in pure automation. He's just in the zone. I'm like, if he can do it here, that just shows because some people are really nervous. I mean,
Oh yeah,
understandably nervous at the
yeah.
rookie showcase. We're all just watching, to see their performance and how they do. And he's got a target on his back because everybody talks about how good Caden Allen is. And we've all been talking about it. We offered him a PDC spot last season. He didn't take it. So he's been on the conversation for quite a while. Same with Sammy Soto, and they both showed up and backed up all the talk. And I think that is so difficult to do. I think it's easy to kind of crumble under the pressure, and he just was so relaxed and
You know,
in the zone and just doing what I feel like he's born to do: put bags in the
yeah,
hole.
no doubt. Like the rookie showcase was interesting to me. Yes, we had Sammy Soto, Caden Allen, some guys put on a show point wise, right? There were other rookies that were flustered by it all. Didn't like it. Too many bags. Didn't like the whole idea. This isn't real cornhole. Blah blah blah. All that stuff. Well, that says a lot. And I'm not going to say names. I'm not picking on anybody in particular. But I watched Sammy Soto go through it. It was business. What do I got to do?
Yeah,
Cool. Bang bang. You know what I mean? Like it's like he may not have liked it. He may have thought it was silly or whatever. But he wasn't. He wasn't talking about it, wasn't using it as some sort, wasn't an issue for him, right? It was like, I got to do this, let me do it, bang on, put up a big number, right? And so I think that
absolutely.
says a lot. I think that says a lot. There were guys that were really flustered by that whole process and didn't really like it and felt it was too alien to cornhole to be something they were judged on. And I was like, this is, it's
Well,
these kind of stressors are going to mimic a little bit. It's not gameplay,
that's
but the type of
yep.
stressors you're going to go through are going to mimic what you're going to go through in tournaments at the pro level. So I thought it was really telling.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I said there's one thing that we can use the rookie showcase for aside from getting stats, and that's to see how somebody responds to a stressor. And when somebody responds to a stressor with excuses, like when I'm coaching cornhole players, I will not let them give me an excuse for literally anything, even if it's valid. So if they're like, if I'm asking them like, how'd this game go? They're like, well, this happened, but the board's a little slow. Stop. You're not allowed to say that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't get us anywhere. If you're going to blame the board speed, how do I help you grow? I can't control that. You
Right.
can't control that. So let's talk about the things that we can control. And so I have a big issue when I hear people leave games with excuses. We all think them. Trust me, I have them too. But all at the same time will like stop and check myself and say, like, is this helpful? And is this going to help me get better? And the answer is
I've always
no
wanted to
and
have this
no.
conversation with you. I've always wanted to have this conversation with you because all right, golf analogy, can't get through one show without a golf analogy.
Let's
Jack Nicklaus,
go.
greatest player of all time, always used excuses. It was as if he could not blame himself. If he missed a
Yeah.
big putt in a tournament, he's going to talk about the spike marks in the interview that were in front, that were on the way, that made the ball move. It's as if his ego simply could not take if he was the one that screwed up. Now, he was one of the best sports of all time. He would
Yeah.
always, give credit where credit was due. But in the interview, the caveat to giving all that credit would be, the spike mark that was a foot in front of the hole was the reason I missed this putt. And he's giving, but it was almost as if it's not me. It can't be me. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of players, especially in sports that are very individualized, it can't be me, because if it's me, there's a really big problem,
Which is
right?
so opposite, right? And this came back from my personal training days because this is what I would do with clients. Like they'd come in and be like, "Oh, I didn't do the cardio because," I'd be like, you're not allowed to tell me why. And they would eat them up. They're like, "No, but something really," I'm like, "Nope, you're not." Like, I don't care that you didn't do your cardio. We can work through that. I care that you're making an excuse for it. And you're not allowed to tell me that excuse because as soon as you do, it relieves the cognitive dissonance, the pressure inside of you, and then you get to move on and not do anything different about it. But if I make you sit there and stew in it, you will actually make a different decision to avoid that sensation and feeling. So it's very productive, but nobody
Yeah.
likes it.
Well, I mean that I think that mode that way of doing things also you kind of thin the herd, right? I mean,
Yeah.
people that are going to make excuses are going to make excuses. If you don't allow it, and they are going to find a way to not feel that way again, sometimes it's, well, I'm just not going to do it at all then,
Yeah.
right? And you kind
Yeah.
of thin the herd of like, all right, who's going to take this serious? Who actually is going to do this? So it's
Who's gonna
interesting.
get
I,
uncomfortable?
I
Who's
could
gonna
talk
face
about
the
this kind of
discomfort?
stuff with you all. I could talk about this with you all day. It's fun. I love it.
Yeah, I know. It's a fun topic for sure. But we will move on. We're gonna take a break. We'll come back. We're gonna do our top 5 doubles teams. So don't go anywhere. Last segment here, we're going to go into our top 5 pro doubles teams. Now, we will add the fact that not all pro doubles teams have been announced. So these are of the ones that we know of, and it seems like, at least the way this offseason went, people snatched up partners real quick. So
For sure.
if you were part of the like top part of the league, it seems like you had a partner fairly quickly. So I feel pretty confident in the fact that we probably didn't miss like a big top level team, but you never know. So that's kind of the like asterisk
What
in all
what
this.
what do you think of some of that? Like in the top quarter, top third of the pro division, there was some shuffling there of partners,
Yeah.
obviously, and I don't know if all those partners were really excited about that shuffle. What do you think about all
No.
that?
Yeah, it was actually interesting. Wally dropped the stat that like less than 15% of double teams stayed together, which I think is insane.
That
Um
is insane.
but what's crazy about that is I'm hoping that we can see some like the people who stick together. Do we notice that there are advantages to that? Like, so we both have Batson Grindersleeve as our number 1 spot. That is a team that has been a team since Batson entered the league. They've never changed partners.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if we start to see when the people who are bouncing from partner to partner to partner to partner, like we know Frank Maudlin's a great player, but how many different partners has he had?
Right.
And does that impact you negatively? And so do we start to notice a Burton Jr. Chamberlain stayed together, a Hamilton Kano stayed together? These two teams are both on our list.
Yeah.
So I just wonder what that means. But going through mine, Bats and Grindersleeve, number 1, they earned it. I don't know
Hmm.
how you take that spot away from them at this point. I have Richard Smith second, which is a little risky. They're not proven yet, but I think if Smith is able to learn from Mark Richards some of the mindset stuff, that's going to be huge for his game. Hamilton Kano and Burton Jr. Chamberlain, that's 3 and 4 for me. who I think absolutely are dominant in the sport, and staying together to me means a lot. I think that's a big advantage. And then this fifth spot, it was hard. I had to go. I actually did my top, I think, 15 for doubles teams, and trying to
Yeah.
pick this team that goes at number 5 was really, really difficult. But ultimately, I landed on Jackson Gore and Sammy Soto, even though Jackson has that injury to his wrist. Look how well he played at the first Open, which was kind of like a national. I mean, that place was stacked in
Oh, for sure.
Rockville. So
For sure.
I think he deserves that number 5 spot. Obviously, Sammy Soto as your partner is a huge advantage. And I was just really impressed with the two of them together. And I think that if they can perform that way they did at number 1, they could earn this spot. And if they can stay together, I think that you only get stronger. And I still don't know how. I think I like the fact that the Gores broke up. It's weird. But I think sometimes siblings are a little too honest with each other in a negative way. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do like that split, I think. But they're just both so good. So it's hard to imagine them not being together.
You know, can I put an asterisk by Bats and Grindersleeve? Because I really was like, so I put them number 1 because of the way they finished last season. And even let's take you've got the 2 nationals that they win back to back, then they win the world championship, so back to back to back, and then co-ed doubles world champion and Eddie Grindersleeve, and then you get pro invitational co-ed doubles
Yep.
champion and Caleb Batson. So they were winning everything in doubles at the end of last year. There really isn't a way they can, replicate that kind of success, is there? I mean, like,
I
so I'm
don't
sitting
know.
there, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, can I really put them? Because can I? You have to from what you saw. But is there any way to be that dominant as a doubles team again? I just don't know. But the funny thing is, if I didn't have them number 1, I don't know if I would have had them in my top 5. How crazy is that?
So
That's
that's
what I mean. Like
interesting
that's so bizarre. And then, like, I was like, well, if I don't have them number 1, I don't know if I can put them in the top 5.
because I'm kind of the opposite. I'm like, if I don't have them number 1, who do I think would have the number 1 spot? And I think, like I said, Richard Smith's untested. It's hard to say that they're going to grab that. I think Hamilton, Kano, and Burton Jr. Chamberlain definitely could. But for some reason, I just feel like that's their spot. So I guess I'm kind of opposite because I just don't know who I'd give the number 1 spot to at this moment.
So here's an interesting thought I had when I was putting this list together, and I kind of stand by it, but it makes no sense really.
Okay.
You've got your 4 nationals in your world championship. Obviously, this year the tournaments are going to be set up a little bit different, but in essence, you've still got your 4 nationals, right, and your world championships. I think Hamilton, Kano, Burton Jr. Chamberlain, and Harbaugh Malone all win 1. So that
Oh,
leaves 2 of the others.
right. Yeah, but shootouts count towards points this year.
Yeah. I'm just saying to 21 games to 21 events
Right.
is kind of how I'm looking at it. I
But
think
shootouts, they can win multiple, like, right? So we really have
sure
8 events you could win.
that's true. That's true. I'm just thinking to 21 events to 21 game events, which are what Warrior Nationals now. It's part of that 8 tournament setup. I think those 3 teams. I think Harbaugh Malone win 1, but I also think they have an awful one. So like the talent's there that, oh my gosh, they won 1, and then all of a sudden, they go 1 and 2 in the next one and they're out.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
mean,
just it's bizarre, and I know it makes no sense, but I can kind of see that happening. I think Hamilton and Kano win 1. I really do. I mean,
no, I do
obviously they could
too.
win multiple. I don't know if I can say Batson and Grindersleeve win 1. I really don't know. But I think in my heart of heart, I know Hamilton and Kano will. I think in my heart of heart, Burton Jr. and Chamberlain will. And I honestly believe Harbaugh and Malone will win 1. They're going to get hot in the way that they play. They play a very cerebral game, and they both have talent going through the roof. And they're going to get hot in one of these tournaments, and they're going to make it. They're just going to own it.
I
And
mean,
it's just,
just
but I don't,
just
but
to
I don't know if I
name
can say that about Richards and Smith, and I don't know if I can say that about Bats and Grindersleeve, and I've got them as 2 of my top 3 teams. So it literally, like, my brain makes no sense
yeah.
sometimes when I talk through this.
No, I mean, look, it's hard. Like I said, when I was like right outside of this list, we have Neested Power. I think they could definitely win
Sure,
1. You got Trader
sure.
Vicks. They could win 1. Windsor Creek Killer, they can win one. The other
Yeah, I
Gore
like
and
that too.
Thorn,
Yes.
Smith Wiedenfeld are playing really well right now. And then a couple of other ones that were on my list for top 15, Ellis Hart, Frisch, Cameron, Shearer, Camarena. I mean, any of these top 15 that I have could win a national or a shootout and or both, and grab one of these top 5 spots because the points, the what's it called? The bonus points are so
Yeah.
high. So it's so possible. So like I get it. It's difficult. But why don't you go ahead and give your order? Because I gave my order. Yours is like basically the same, just different order with the number 5 is different.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Bats and Grindersleeve, like I said, I've got him number one, almost with an asterisk. Like, if I didn't have him number one, I'm not sure I had him in my top 5, which is insane. Number 2,
Bananas.
yeah, Hamilton, Kano, number 2. I think they are they were coming into their own from the midway point of last season through the end. I mean, they were just becoming. They were the most dominant team outside of Bats and Grindersleeve, I think, as far as the number of broadcasts we saw them on as a doubles team. Richards and Smith, I think the talent alone puts them there, right? They're just too good. They're too talented. They're my number 1 and number 2 players at the end of the season playing on the same doubles team. They're just too good not to be somewhere high up in the top 5. Burton Jr., Chamberlain. I think Logan Chamberlain's making a move up the board this year as a singles player. Them as the doubles team, they've already started playing well in the open season. And then Harbaugh Malone. I think that's an interesting pairing. I think it's a really, really good pairing. And I think, to be honest, I don't think Devin's had a partner in the last couple of years that really matched his talent level. He's had
Or at
really
least
solid.
knows how to win, right? We know Malone knows how to win. He's proven
Right,
that.
right. And I
And
mean,
I
and
feel
I'm
like
not
that
knocking.
carries a lot.
Yeah, I'm not knocking Nico and other. I'm not. They are truly outstanding professionals. I'm not knocking them, but Devin is at a certain level when you go
Yeah.
up, and I think Kyle can get there and has, like you said, he's won major tournaments, and so I think you put them together, and all of a sudden they have one of those weekends, right? I can easily see them winning. You know.
Absolutely.
One of our big national, one of our big 8 events. So I've got them at number 5.
Yeah, Harbaugh always finds a way to get into the finals, and I think Malone will help push him over the edge of winning. And I think that's what he was really lacking in doubles. He was always doing it on the singles side, but not making it on the doubles side. Now he has a partner that has proven path of success to actually win things at a big national level, shootout level, and I think that that's going to serve Devin really well. And maybe it's like a mindset block. So maybe once he gets over it in doubles, it'll push him forward in singles as well, because now it's like I've won on a broadcast. I clearly can
Yeah.
do it. You know, I've kind of broken the glass ceiling in some ways, that mindset barrier. So I could see that really playing into both singles and doubles for him. I think it's a huge come up as a partner for him. Once again, no disrespect to his past partners. The big advantage with Malone is just that he's already proven he can win at that level. That's it.
I think that's such a massive point because, Kyle's had issues, especially on the double side, where, like, if you can get him to the broadcast court, he excels.
Yeah.
Right. Like Kyle's problem is out on the floor sometimes and maybe getting tripped up in a game that he shouldn't lose. Devin doesn't lose a lot of those games. Devin's problem is finishing. So I think that kind of helps. Like, hey, you get Kyle there. Kyle can walk you over the line almost in a way. And so I think that's a massive partnership there.
I do too. I love that partnership for both of them. All right, we are all finished. We went through our top 10 in singles, our top 5 women, top 5 rookies, top 5 doubles teams. Obviously, this is a very early prediction. I actually marked it on a spreadsheet and put the date because I'm so curious to see how I change my
Yeah.
opinion throughout the season. I wished that I would have done that last season. So this season I am doing that. I want to go back and be like, what an idiot. Like, why would I leave that person out? Or you know what I mean? Just whatever. So I'm very curious to see how it all unfolds. But thank you everybody for joining us. And we don't have an event this weekend, but we'll be back soon with more events on the live stream. We won't be on the television broadcast till April, so you got to wait a little bit longer. Oh, actually, no, that's not true. We have college championships.
College, and then I'm sure
December.
there's something in February. I'm pretty sure we're going to have something around the Super Bowl.
Okay. Maybe
throwing it out there. Nothing's
weekend,
confirmed.
yeah.
Nothing's confirmed. Yeah.
That could be another broadcast for you. I know somebody in the chat was asking when are we going to be on TV again. So college championships, New Year's weekend will be the next one for a broadcast. And then there might be a little bit of a wait, but it'll be worth it. More exciting things to come this season. Thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll see you all next time.
See ya.